Hey everyone, it's Jenna from Canadian Beats Media. I'm joined today by the Hamilton, Ontario-based country artist, Karli June, for our latest segment of 5 Qs. Welcome, Karli.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, first off, care to introduce yourself a bit more in depth for our listeners?
Absolutely. So, my name is Karli June. Obviously, we heard that part already. I grew up in a small town called Listowel, Ontario. It's pretty small. It's about 5,000 people. Yeah, living in Hamilton now. Released my debut record last year, and now we have the single. So it's really exciting.
So, as you said, you've unveiled your single, Feel Like Home. Tell us a bit about the writing process behind the release.
So I wrote Feel Like Home with Gavin Slate, who is a Nashville based. He's actually Canadian as well, but he lives in Nashville. We wrote it during the pandemic over Zoom. So it was actually written a couple of years ago now, which is pretty crazy. Time flies. Um, Coming from a small town for me was it's something I write about a lot in my music, and just home and how important that is to me. So we had this idea of, talking about that special feeling of a small town, and, the home team pride of the sports teams and the familiar back roads that you drive on, and finding love that just feels as comfortable and as easy as those things do.
Okay, so as you mentioned, you worked with Gavin Slade on the release. How was the experience working with him?
Amazing. Gavin is just such a nice, nice person. That was my first time writing with him.
Okay.
He was a writer that I looked up to a lot and has written some of my favorite music, especially in country music in Canada. So to
Mhm.
get to write with him was really awesome. And then I recorded the vocals in Nashville at his studio. So just really, he made me feel so comfortable, and it was just a really good fit.
Great. So you also worked with fellow Ontario musician Ryan Langdon, who joined you on the single. How did you go about deciding that the song needed another set of vocals, and how did you choose Ryan?
Yeah, great question. So when we wrote this song, we wrote it being a duet in
Okay.
mind. So we said, let's write a duet. It was something I had never done before, having another collaborator on a song. So it was something I've always really wanted to do. So after we wrote it, we loved it right away. And then it was coming down to finding the right voice.
Mhm.
Gavin, the writer, sang on the demo. So he had a really nice deep voice. So it worked so nicely with that sound. So we were looking for someone with that nice, deep, really country sound. It's a true
Mhm.
country song. We're singing about small towns and home teams. And so we wanted someone that would really bring that authenticity to it, and someone who that story was authentic to them. And Ryan, he's a small town country guy, so he was just such a great fit. And he's from the Hamilton area as well, so that was just like perfect in the end.
Mhm. So you knew him
I
beforehand?
didn't. I
You
actually I
didn't?
didn't. I had knew of him, and we'd probably crossed paths before many times at the Country Music Awards and things
Mhm.
like that. But I didn't know him personally. But
Okay.
yeah, it's been awesome getting to know him now. And Ryan is a really talented artist, so it's awesome to have him on it.
So you're opening for Gord Bamford on his Peterborough stop of his Canadian Dirt Tour, which is incredible. Um, for someone who has yet to see you perform live, describe your performance in 5 words or less.
That's a great question. 5 words or less. That's hard for me. I would say uh, high energy,
Mhm.
fun. There's always an inspirational element to my show, so I'll say inspirational.
Right?
Um, Dynamic, and home. I want every person to have that feeling of home being at my show. So just to feel, more connected to where they come from, and just to celebrate that.
Awesome. If you were able to work with one fellow Canadian artist who you haven't already, who would be at the top of your list?
Oh, another great question. There's so many. This is really, really hard to answer. There's so many. Actually, I'm going to say a female artist because I think it'd be really cool to do some sort of a collaboration with
Mhm.
another female. I would actually really love to work with Jess Moskalouk. She's someone that I've always really just admired. I love her music, and we're both, small town girls. So I think we could do
Mhm.
something cool together.
That'd be fun. Yeah. So that's it for our 5Q segment. Thanks for joining me and congrats on the new single.
Thank you so much for having me.